Hey, this is Miss Harvey, and you're watching Behind the Alias. You still try to be at the top of the game, but it's conflicting.
You're working on your own brand. Why don't you give us a quick sneak peek?
You know, you're either a feminist or you're a f***ing asshole.
So it'd be nice if you tell us what your organization does, what they provide for players, and what your current role entails.
Women are treated the same way. They have been treated the same way, and it's been a long and really hard fight.
If you could go back and give one advice to your 16 years old self, what would it be? This is the 8th episode of Behind the Alias. Jim Buteau, your host. I have Stephanie Harvey Alias, Miss Harvey, that joins me today. Thanks for taking time on your very packed schedule to join me.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to be here.
So you're very busy with a bunch of different projects. You are director of esports franchise development and outreach for the organization CLG, which is Counter Logic Gaming. The work that organizations do in the esports world, I guess, is kind of mysterious and unknown to people. So it'd be nice if you tell us what your organization does, what they provide for players, and what your current role entails.
The way to think about esports org is really to think about your favorite sports team. It's really just having a whole kind of support behind the athletes. Yes, they win championship for the team, but it's also much more than that. There's a big machine behind the scene, not only from supporting these players to be at the best, but they're also businesses, right? So it's also about creating content, having a way to pay for the salaries of these players, right? So potentially avenues of revenues, working with partners or sponsors, or any kind of activations that you might think about. And I think that we need to add that esports orgs, unlike sports teams, usually are linked to multiple teams. So imagine, once again, your favorite sports team. Imagine them having also an NBA team, and imagine them also having an MLB team, an NHL team. So it's kind of what esports is about. Actually, they're associated with Complexity, which is a gaming team, and that team has tons of teams underneath. So you have to think about how complex that can become, especially when some of these teams are $1 million adventures like League of Legends, Counter-Strike, and other kind of big teams. It's not just a North American market, it's across the world market. Lots of teams have BR teams or Asian teams, so they need their own offices over there as well. So it's a pretty big affair.
Personally, so your role, what do you do?
I've been working on so many outreach activities. We launched CLG Boost, which is our philanthropic activations. Last month in December, we are doing so many things when it comes to health and gaming. So LT Gaming Lifestyle. We also launched Junior CLG, which is the counterpart in gaming for the Junior Knicks and the Junior Rangers, where we provided online camps for the youth across the world, and we're going to expand on that in 2021.
From at least my experience of what I know of CLG, I guess the bigger part is Counter-Strike, but I assume there's other games that are included in there?
Yeah, absolutely. One of our flagship team is the League of Legends team and the Academy team in the LCS, the League of Legends NA tournaments, which is the LCS. We also have Apex, we have Smash Brothers, we have Fortnite, and we also have a lot of, side influencer and or competitor that are, outside the box. So think about chess with Nemo, CLG Nemo, or our speedrunners.
Oh, I'd love to have a speedrunner on this show, actually.
We're pretty big at trying to find, break these boundaries. And we're one of the first to have a women's team with the CLG Red team, but we were the first to have a chess player and speedrunners full-time on our teams.
If we go more on a personal level, you're working on a bunch of stuff. So not only your job, and I've seen you're working on your own brand. Why don't you give us a quick sneak peek of the current projects you work on?
Yeah, to be honest, there is a lot. It kind of changes from when you talk to me throughout the year. At the moment, there's a couple of projects that I'm working on. I am on a podcast that I launched with one of my friends, Michelle Morrow. It's called The Game Diaries, where we talk about stories in gaming that are life-changing or really important in our field that maybe you've never heard about. I also launched a clothing brand called Elevate, which is a play on words. You're French Canadian, so you know, but elevate is actually the French word for elevate. But because I didn't want people to pronounce it Eliver, I was really scared of English people pronouncing it Eliver, that I made a play on words with my name, Miss Harvey. So I swapped the R for a Y at the end. So I'm launching not only, yes, a clothing line, but it's also about a digital citizenship company. So what does that mean? It's normal that you don't understand what it means because I kind of created that. For me, digital citizenship is just as important as citizenship in the years that we're at. So I'm actually writing a book on this. So that's one of the projects that I'm also going to be hopefully launching.
Sneak peek.
In 2021. But digital citizenship is, to sum it up, throughout all of history, we were kind of born and raised to live with other people and cohabit and learn to be citizens of our community, which whatever back in the days was our tribe, and now is our cities, our societies, and all the pillars around us support us. So from our parents teaching us like how to walk, how to eat, what to do, what's good, what's bad, to our schooling system and education system who tells us like this is how you learn to be independent, to have a job, all these kind of things. So to say that it takes a whole village to raise a child, to raise a man is true, That's how we are, and we become citizenship. And when it comes to our online citizenship, and how to be a good digital citizen, we have absolutely no pillar in place as a society. No one tells us what to do and how it works. And I've decided to take on that role in the last, I would say, 2 years. And I did more and more research, and I kind of came up with this digital citizenship thing, where I think that for me, there's 3 pillars that we should absolutely get educated on. I call them the Harvey 3 C's, which is cybersecurity, cyber dependence, and cyberbullying. And these 3 C's for me, and I assume between you and I, they're going to become like 10 C's in 10 years. But right now, these 3 C's are actually causing a lot of bad in our world, way more than you would imagine, from disinformation to attacks to obviously even everything that we've seen in the recent year with fraud and, mental illness and whatnot. It really strongly is a big factor of not being good digital citizens.
So obviously you're starting this brand and you're trying to raise the awareness. And what are the concrete things that you're planning on doing within the next coming months or year to combat these issues?
We're going to try to showcase and highlight and educate people throughout the years. Last year, 2020, I did a lot of conferences, interviews. I spoke about these issues on the big stage at Game for Change, and a couple of big conferences like that left and right. And I want people to be more educated. I want to spread the word about digital citizenship, because I think that it is not for me to own. It is something that everyone should be aware of, and everyone should be doing something and can do something to be better digital citizens.
I think it's very important. That's one of the points that I wanted to talk about, and it's not only just with the toxicity versus females, but really everybody. I mean, you've been sort of a role model for a lot of female esports players growing up, and we all know toxicity amongst esports communities is very high. And I'm not even referring to sexism and misogyny. We'll get to that later. There's this general consensus that male players will get over toxicity, will get over trolling and cyberbullying, and it's come to the point where I feel like everyone's complacent and just accepts that it's part of the game. And I mean, I guess it's not that surprising, because you see boys in school in team sports, it happens there as well. And then the women and men typically in sports are separated, so they don't really share that concept. Now, we often hear that specific thing can be disheartening, especially for new female players. What's your message to them, and how do you overcome toxicity and trolls online?
Honestly, we're so left by ourselves when it comes to toxicity online. It happens to everyone. I have my opinion on the fact that I do believe it's more personal when it comes to women and people with a difference. So people of color, LGBTQ, as soon as you can spot that difference, then, if you're not a white male, we will let you know online. What's happening, especially for gamers, online and gaming and performance, and what people are saying about our performance is so important that you kind of get consumed by it. You're when you want to relax, you play games, but unfortunately, it kind of leads to that toxicity, and sometimes it can be like a vicious circle. So you have to have a good support system to be able to face it. So whether it means playing with people that you care about, or talking to people about the issues that you have outside of the game, or if that means taking a break when you can't mentally do it anymore, and doing something else that is not gaming. Because I quite frankly don't think that toxicity is a problem of gaming. Like I said in my earlier, toxicity is everywhere. So you really have, just in life, to have ways to escape from it.
On the internet, obviously people are hidden behind an alias and it feels free for them to just say whatever they want without consequence. And I think it's important for games to step up and come up with report systems and start issuing actual bans. And we see it on multiple games where they start chat banning people and making sure that they learn their lessons. You've had your share of difficulties, I assume, growing up and through your careers. If you could go back and give one advice to your 16 years old self, what would it be?
First of all, never comparing yourself. I think that as a competitor, overall, you kind of have to compare yourself because you want to get better, you want to grow and just like improve. But the main problem is, and when it comes to especially women in gaming, is you're always pitched against each other. So there's this tendency for women to not ally and not unite. And I think, fortunately, nobody taught that to me when I was a younger age. I kind of had to learn it by myself. So there were a lot of times where I did compare myself for better or worse, and it created this really toxic mentality, if you want to say, about being the best, not just in the game, but outside the game, which I think is really not healthy for yourself. And also, it wasn't just about the game. It's still not just about the game. So growing as a human, I think that I've done a decent job at it, but I've never really reflected on it as much as I do now. And I wish, like, really at a younger age, I reflected on, being more patient, improving my communication, improving my negotiation skill, my teamwork skills, all of that kind of stuff. And I learned those the hard way. But looking back, there's so many things I wish I did better. I wish I was a better human.
Do you regret anything about your career?
Sometimes I got overwhelmed and I overbooked myself a lot, which I didn't see at the time like a problem. But now I look back, for my mental health, but also my focus on the game might not always have been perfect. And I tried to change that over the years. I think that when you've been there for 16, 17 years and you've been at the top and at the bottom and whatnot, there's so many times you say, oh, if I didn't do this that year, we might have won the cup. Or if I didn't do this that year, I might have been on the winning championship team or whatever. So yeah, obviously, would I want to do it again? Alias, even if I couldn't change a single thing.
What started as a passion, video games and stuff, ended up being a work, and you just ended up overworking yourself. It's kind of a catch-22, right? You like what you do, but then you overwork yourself, but you like what you do, and you just keep doing it.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes you, like, when streaming came out, like, you want to be a content creator, you want to do all of this. But
all these platforms and
you still try to be at the top of the game, but like it's conflicting, each other. And then like there's the reason why you don't see most of the best player in the world stream, because it's really hard to do it. And I was trying to do it, and for better or worse.
You obviously play a lot of different games, but competitively, it's all been about Counter-Strike. Have you ever thought about making the move to another game?
Yes, I've been thinking about Valorant a lot. Also, at some point, really wanted to go Street Fighter, but then CSGO exploded, so I kind of gave up that dream. Yeah. Also, I thought about poker a lot, and I always said if I wasn't a video game player, I'd probably be a poker player by now. Oh, but cool. There's something about CS that's just it just brings you back all the time. I'm the same way. We've been playing with the same guys for 15 years, and since CS 1.6, mainly on Source though. And it's just, as much as I hate the game, I keep saying I hate the game, we just end up coming back. I sell my knife and I end up buying a new one because I started playing again. 6 months later, I'm like, damn it, I'm back again. It's just like, it is a great game, but Like I stopped playing for 6 months and I come back and instantly it's the same fire as when I stopped.
Exactly.
It's just one of the best, if not the best competitive game.
All right, that's it for the Alias segment with Miss Harvey. Make sure to join us on the next segment called Let's Chat as we speak about sexism in the esports world.